Alright, we are continuing from Rabbi Yosef Masas. Yesterday, Rabbi Yosef was mentioning the reasons why he doesn't like letters of approval on his book.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Haskamut. The third reason he wrote, this guy wanted to write a letter in the introduction to Rav Masas's book, and he says, Ki amar kvodo ha'anav, the honorable, humble one, you, the rabbi, told me, Ki et sifri lo ra'u einav, that my book had never met his eyes. I mean, you wanted to write a letter of approbation on a book that you had never read. My book. Rak et sham'o sham'u eznav. Only its reputation has your ears heard. Meaning you heard about my book, you heard that it has wonderful things, and now you want to write a letter of approbation. And he apologized, Ki samach kvodo al cheskat chavero v'dido shlo yotzi mitachet yado davar sheno metukan misodo. He said, and you said the reason you could write such a letter is because you rely on your friends, the other great rabbis who wrote approbations to my book. V'imchol na hadaro v'hodo. Please, honorable one, accept my forgive me. Ki bazeh machshavto lo tzadka. Because in this matter, you were not correct. Ki en lismoch bazeh al chazaka. You cannot rely on other people when it comes to such matters. Rak al haskama zkuka lechovat habdika. Haskama demands that you actually check things with your own eyes. Ubilada, and what if you did not do such a thing? Yafa hashtika. It would be good for you to be silent. Ki af hasechel hashalem, because even a person who has the most complete, honest mind of integrity, lefamim, sometimes mehemet yitalem, the truth will be hidden from him, or he will hide from the truth. Meaning, a person could have the truth in front of him. He could be a brilliant person who has integrity. He's not a liar, but even he can make a mistake. My wife's Rebbe put out his opinion on his view on technology last week. We always knew he had a different view, one that was more palatable. On technology, iPhones, computers, internet, so on and so forth.
That's a pretty big...
And it's the first time a Haredi rabbi from the mainstream, a Hasidic rabbi nonetheless, part of the establishment, has ever stood up and said something aside from, you're going to go to hell. Aside from, you're going to burn forever and ever and ever. This will ruin your family and your homes. And aside from that, the first time, he took aside one of his students and spoke to him for a few hours. And this student gave a speech to the Hasidim, and then put it in a short pamphlet and a long pamphlet. The gist of what I understood from what he said is that the whole approach of banning technology is a silly approach. He said, especially since this establishment is under this feeling that, okay, so we'll ban it and all the problems will go away. He said, this is not a device. Internet, computers, phones, these are not things that you ban and they're going to go away. He said, inevitably they will become a part of your life. Whether you like them or not, it's going to be part of the way you live your life, day-to-day life. He said, what's going to happen? He said, the same way those who banned the radio, a few years later, we didn't mean the radio, and now we're only banning the internet. We don't mean the internet, and now we're only banning TV. We don't mean TV, now we're only banning live movies. Whatever. He said, what's going to happen is in a few years, these people are going to come out as liars because there's going to be no choice. They have to say, well, it's not really forbidden to use cell phones, now we're moving on to something else. He said, so then what were you lying to people for the last however many years? He said, second is, this is the kind of thing that if you have a person, he has a livelihood, he works, this is his job, he has a computer, he has a phone, he said, now what have you done? You've told him that he's the worst Jew in the world. And so he might as well also eat pig, he might as well break Shabbat, he might as well, why? Because you've already told him that there's nothing worse than using the internet. That's what they say.
Really?
It's not him, he's saying. That's what they say.
Sure.
And a few such points. And he said, therefore, he says, a person who says that they live in a life that they don't need these things, and that's the kind of thing that if you don't need, you don't need. But a person who does need it, and most people will, is that they have to put themselves certain regulations and certain protective measures to make sure that they don't come to any kind of takalot. And he mentioned a few different things. And the Rebbe was a fan for a long time of, he supported financially a number of internet filtering programs. And we said it's good for a person to just be able to appease his Yetzer Hara by keeping it away from such things in the first place. But it was his opinion. He said you can't ban such things. There's no reason to ban such things. And those who ban things never solve the problems. They just make more problems. And the Haredi world has gone up in flames.
Really?
In the last few weeks. And my wife's Rebbe is not, for me, he's a big person, but he's not like a big gun. It's not like the Satmar Rebbe says, or the Belzer Rebbe. He's a small Hasidic group, very humble Hasidic group. But he's a man d'amar, he's a person, he's a man of influence. And you already have the camps, those who say, oh, he's crazy, he's wrong, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Even if this is what he said, he's going against all the great rabbis of the generation. You have that camp. You have the camp, unfortunately, of maybe even his followers, who are embarrassed that their rabbi said such a thing. And so now they're trying to cover it up, or that's not really what he meant, things were taken out of context, and so on and so forth. And what do you find here? That you have a person who reached the truth. And then everyone says, oh, but how could you be right and everybody else be wrong? Well, it's the way of life. Sometimes it could be that way. Sometimes it could happen that many people are wrong about something and one person is right about it. Who promised you that it's always going to be the truth with the majority? Where does it say such a thing? When does it say such a thing? We don't have such an opinion. If that was true, we'd long ago have become Christians or Muslims. We're a minority, but we still retain our truth, and we believe that it doesn't make a difference how many people jump off this bandwagon, we're still going to have that truth.
Did anybody in the Hasidic world support him?
It seems like he's still a lone wolf. And even those who believe that he's right are too afraid to say something. I don't know that you understand how quickly a person's life can be overturned in such a community. Which tells you a lot about the integrity of this place. If the rabbis can't speak their minds, then who can? That's the question. ויגע כאילם ויגמגם כחולם וירבה אמרים סבוכים כסירים וכל ההוגה בספרים מבין אלה הדברים והסומכים בזה על החזקות הם חולים במחלות ונדבקות. So therefore I have to say every person can make a mistake, and if you do not verify something with your own eyes, you cannot write a letter of approval for it. Yesterday there was history in Israel. I don't know much about the story, so don't hold me to it, but the Vatican had reached out to Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz.
Really?
They were putting together a tribute to the Pope, and they wanted him to write something about the Pope. And Rabbi Steinsaltz wrote back, he's sorry, but he just doesn't know the Pope, so he can't write anything about a man he doesn't know. So the Pope invited him to meet him in Rome. And they have a picture of Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz yesterday spending the day with the Pope in Rome, sitting down and speaking. I would love to be a fly on that wall. Just to hear. I don't know what was discussed. But it's a very good thing to say, I don't know. I can't speak about something I don't know. I don't know about this. Why do you have to have an answer for everything? Why do you have to be familiar with everything? I'm not familiar with this topic. I don't know what to tell you about this.
Which topic?
Any topic. Someone asks you about a topic. They'll call you. In my field, I get, Rabbi, what do you think about this kosher symbol? I don't know. I can't tell you. But does that mean it's not good? No, God forbid it doesn't mean it's not good. I'm telling you that I don't know. I don't know something. Or whatever question somebody has. Someone asks you a question. You're sitting at a table, they bring up a discussion. You don't actually know much about this. Just opt out of that discussion. Why do you have to speak about everything? The same here. He says, those who give haskamot on chazakot, meaning they rely on other people, hem cholim, they are sick. B'machalot hanidbakot, with contagious diseases. Says. What are these contagious diseases? Hachonef, flattery, v'kazav, hamazikot, and kozev is a good English word for kozev. A liar, a trickster, a charlatan. He says this person received the disease that just because another rabbi said something doesn't mean I have to jump on the bandwagon. I oftentimes, will you sign this proclamation, that proclamation? I don't know. I don't know what this is trying to say. I don't know the political story behind it. I see that a lot of great rabbis say it, but once you sign on to something, I think a few years ago, I had an opportunity to join an organization that would have broadcasted certain classes of mine, at least one of them, on Israeli TV. It was such an opportunity here in San Diego with an organization from Israel. And when I looked into it, and they were going to pay it too, it wasn't a small thing, I turned down the offer. Not because I didn't want to. I turned down the offer because I saw that in this organization were other people that I was not sure I wanted to be affiliated with. And at the time, people were upset at me. My parents were like, how could you do such a thing? Why? Even if it's a bad, so at least you'll get your name out. A few years later, especially when Kehillat HaShamayim started, there were certain key figures that if I had worked with them or for them, this wouldn't exist today.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a nes. And mamash, I thank Hashem every day that I didn't bite the bait. There would be rabbis who would either have paid me something or have worked with me on something. I wouldn't be able to just get up and disown them, and we wouldn't have been able to do what we do today. A nes. So you have to be careful who you're going to affiliate yourself with. Don't sign on to everything. Just because, even if reputable people are there, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know the whole story, just don't get on. A lot of times people share this, sign a petition on that. Just don't. Just stay away. Asher lechacham metukot, asher lechika metukot. These diseases to them are very sweet. They like them. Vod tam acher gilai. And I'm going to give you another reason why I won't let you write an approbation to my book. But tifeu tidra ki nora lila lo yavi lidei tzadikim takala. You said the reason you can rely on other rabbis is because Hashem does not let tzadikim stumble. V'achar hamechila. And after much forgiveness again. Ki ne'ela mida'ato agdola. You forgot that our rabbis only said this, only with regards to food. Our rabbis say that Hashem keeps forbidden foods away from the mouth of tzaddikim. You have two stories. This rabbi tried to eat something and it didn't work, or it burned, or it turns out it wasn't kosher. There's a few stories like this. Dignai gadol tzaddik shomer Torah, because it's a big disgrace for a tzaddik who keeps Torah, lechol isura, to eat something forbidden. V'zulat ze en shmira, but aside from this specific arena of food, en shmira, levatel b'chira. You can't have that Hashem is going to consistently take away the tzaddik's b'chira, his free will to do something. It doesn't work that way. Then he puts in parentheses. He says, over there in the source that I give you, Sham ne'emar kama takalot sheba'al yedei tzaddikim. He says, go look there. There are a number of cases of bad things that happened to tzaddikim. They stumbled. They did something wrong. V'od simenecha meirim, and please let your enlightened eyes understand. Lo ne'emura dvarim rak al hatalmudiim ha'adirim. These words that a tzaddik will not stumble in matters of kosher food or not kosher food was only said about hatalmudiim ha'adirim, the Talmudic giants, the rabbis of the Talmud. But the rabbis that came after them, ba'u takalot rabot l'dehem. There many bad things happened, stumbling blocks that they did, things they ate. Uchvod Elohim aster divrayim, and Hashem covered for them that not everybody knows these stories. Shelo le'arer achar ma'aseh, we don't want to dig after them. V'anochi ma'a ba'ar kebehema, af she'odea kama atzig achad l'dugma. So I know many instances of tzaddikim throughout the generations that ate things that were not kosher by mistake. It was a mistake, but it happened. I'll just share one story. If you look, v'hi b'sefer or keshalma, if you go to this book, Rav echad gadol achal mibehema. There was a great rabbi who ate from an animal. V'nimtzet nivela v'ayta mehuma, and it turned out it was a treif animal, and it was a big commotion. V'im nafla shel hevet ba'arazim, and if the cedar trees, this is a famous Talmudic statement, it's a good quote, and if the cedar trees became engulfed in flames, ma yasu ezovei kir hadalim v'arazim, what about us shrubs on the wall, which are much more flammable? Kamonu harikim v'porzim, our empty ones, hashvelim v'anivzim, our lowly ones. Like b'nefesh nemucha, with a humble spirit, nevakesh me'elohei ha'ma'aracha ya'ir lanu kol chashecha, v'tzenu mekol haficha b'torah v'halacha, rak b'orot tamid lechu v'nercha. So we just have to pray that we don't stumble. But you can't say such a thing, tzaddikim don't stumble. So that's a fact that tzaddikim stumble, and if even if our rabbis said such a thing about food, it wasn't talking about our rabbis, but about rabbis in the Talmud. And the proof is just with your own eyes. Look at how many times you found stories of tzaddikim.
It says in the Tanya that tzaddik falls and then rises.
Sure, this is from Tanakh, the verse that the time is quoted. It's a normal thing. You can't rely on everybody. You can't rely on everything. This problem of rabbis being infallible, that's a mistake. It's a big mistake.
We've seen that lately.
Lately we've seen a lot of it. But I feel that whenever people are passionate over someone or something, you tend to look the other way. when things could be bad and you just don't want to acknowledge it, or we don't know. It says, "Akol peshaim techaseh ahava." All blemishes will be covered with love. I'm sure that other people will see things about my wife that they don't like that I don't notice. I'm not saying, God forbid, about my wife something. I'm saying because I love her, so it doesn't come into the calculation of things. But somebody who doesn't love someone, it's very easy to pick them apart and find all the things that are wrong about them. Because I don't care about them, so I can find out whatever I want about them. The same thing is true with our leaders. It doesn't mean to always second guess and rabbis are good for nothing. I'm not asking for this mentality either. But it's a mistake. Very often, we do this because our rabbi told us, and it doesn't make a difference. Our rabbi said, but it's Shulchan Aruch says not like that. Duh, so what? Our rabbi doesn't know Shulchan Aruch, or our rabbi doesn't know Shulchan Aruch. I'm not saying your rabbi doesn't know Shulchan Aruch, but if your rabbi said X, the Shulchan Aruch says Y, what other conclusion do you want me to come to? Maybe the Shulchan Aruch is wrong. Maybe, but maybe it's more probable your rabbi's wrong. Maybe the Rambam is wrong. Yeah, but if Shulchan Aruch and the Rambam and the Talmud and the Mishnah and the Tanakh agree with each other, and just your rabbi says the opposite, what do you want me to do? Why does everything have to be so blind? Our parents once told us the greatest mistake that people make is that they think great people cannot make mistakes. True word, this had changed radically my approach on many things in Judaism. It doesn't mean that because we disagree with somebody they're a bad person, just they made a mistake. They didn't have the correct approach on how to deal with something. It doesn't make them bad. I'm not disqualifying somebody. Who am I to say? I am no one to say such a thing. But if you're debating between two things, two approaches, two opinions, there have to be certain times you say this is incorrect. It doesn't make a difference who said it.
If someone like Shlomo HaMelech could make, and David HaMelech can make such huge mistakes.
And Moshe Rabbeinu, and we say they can make mistakes, right? But our rabbis can't make mistakes.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's a very scary thing. What you're telling me is that your rabbi is greater than Moshe Rabbeinu. It's very dangerous. Person is a person. And tzaddik ba'aretz sadov lo yichada. There's no righteous person on this earth who can do good and never make a mistake. Not to hear, God forbid, mistakes like that, terrible things. They decided something, they said something, they wrote something, not everything in the world is Rabbi Yosef Masas has an opinion that you can make tea in a certain way on Shabbat that we wouldn't do today. God Peretz quotes his opinion in his book on the laws of Shabbat and says, I understand that he said it. He's a great man, but his logic defies everybody else's logic. And I can't rule like him. I'm not telling you that he's a bad person. I'm telling you that in this matter, we believe he made a mistake. Now, it could be if you're a student of his, he didn't make a mistake. We all made a mistake. That could also be fine. I'm willing to say there are two approaches to something. But you can't be afraid. This is the way of the... How could you say... Somebody I gave once a class on hair covering and halakha. How could you say that Rabbi Moshe Feinstein and the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who both said that you could wear shaitos, how could you say that they're wrong? So did I stand up and say that they're wrong? No. So, but you're saying that what they're saying you shouldn't follow. It's true. I did say that. Why? But you never followed halakha. Hillel says this and Shammai says that, and you go like Hillel and Alei Shammai. What happened? Everywhere in halakha we decide one opinion over another opinion.
But you're saying could, not should.
What do you mean?
I mean, like Rabbi Soloveitchik and the Rebbe said, could wear a wig, not should.
Lubavitcher Rebbe was adamant that other hair coverings were inferior to a wig. He was unique in this opinion. And even if that was his opinion, that's fine. And I'm not telling his Hasidim what to do. But to come to me, if I could make an argument that that approach is incorrect, what's going to happen? Just because he was Lubavitcher Rebbe, I can't argue? It's not me. I'm not pulling for me. Yoni Halevy doesn't argue with Lubavitcher Rebbe. It doesn't happen this way. But you have sources, you have books, you have Gemarot, you have... Did the Rebbe... I'm sure the Rebbe knew. So what? What does this have to do? In any halachic conversation, you have to decide between two tzaddikim. You never decide between, Titus and Rabbi Akiva. You decide between Rabbi Akiva and another rabbi, between Hillel and Shammai, between Rava and Ravina, between Abai and Rava. Our whole life we decide between opinions. Why does it all of a sudden get tricky when we do it today? It's not politically correct anymore. It's okay to say this rabbi made a mistake. We love him, we love his follower, made a mistake.
Because the education, you don't get exposed to more than one derech a lot of times, so especially for Bali Tshuva. They only know the one path.
So that means that somebody who taught them made a mistake.
Yes.
And but it's like I can't trust you with all the opinions. It's a very sad thing to tell somebody. It's like children. I don't trust you with all the opinions. I'm not going to share it with you. Not everybody's a child. And this is you mentioned Rav Soloveitchik. Well, they're not things we don't agree with Rav Soloveitchik. Of course, there are things we don't agree with Rav Soloveitchik about. So what? We still study Rav Soloveitchik here. This is the way of halakha. The way of the Torah is to say, we accept what we can accept. We don't accept what we don't accept. And that we're still learning at the same table. This is the way the Torah works.
The problem is the Chum wrote lead to a bifurcation of our people because a high percentage of people say, Judaism is impossible. I can't possibly hold this. I'm not going to walk around wearing a wig and black stockings all the time, or if only this hechsher is good and I can only eat Chaluk Yisrael, blah, blah, or I can't go here or do that. I'm so limited, I'll go to the conservative or the reform because, it's open-ended. Then the Orthodox becomes something closed. And then
I had an interesting statement made to me by somebody who was formerly from a Hasidic community in New York and came to visit us here a long time ago. And after spending a Shabbat with us, they told me it was a very interesting statement. They said, I thought that I had run away from Judaism. But after the Shabbat, I realized that I had run away from that kind of Judaism, but I'm not running away from this Judaism. That if I had been taught this kind of Judaism, I wouldn't be on the run.
Right.
And so you want to tell me that I don't want all the Hasidim in Bar Park to look like me. But maybe if one of your kids is struggling with something, then tell them there's another approach, there's another option. This doesn't do it for you, that's fine. So there's another way. In my wife's Hasidut, there's a very interesting dynamic. The Stolner Rebbe has a brother. And the Stolner Rebbe is like a drill sergeant. It's very difficult sometimes to deal with it. And not, God forbid, in a bad way. He expects from his Hasidim a certain... Minyan is at 6:30. There's never going to be a late minyan, not 6:45, not 6:50, not 7 o'clock, only 6:30. If you want, you can go to a different chassidut. Don't be part of mine. We do this. This is the rules are the rules and the rules. Period. Not everybody's cut out for that, and he knows that not everyone's cut out for that. And so his brother was a tzaddik in his own right, and became the Loitzker Rebbe. Loitzker is a city that also many Stolner Hasidim lived in, and so they essentially made a parallel chassidut to Stolner. And that's for the people who need the Loitzker Rebbe. I have never met him yet. For I've read from him and seen from him. And some of my siblings, my wife's siblings, they're stolen, born, but they became Loitzk in their lifetime. Loitzk, that's what it's called. Don't push me. I don't know what it means. It's a place. Someone's a place in White Russia and Ukraine. Who knows where it is? The Loitzker Rebbe reminds you a little bit of like Rav Levi. It's like a Berditchev. Loved everybody, hugs everybody, cares about everybody. Doesn't have a gabbai who calls people. He calls people on his own. My brother-in-law was sometimes with him. He'll get a phone call from the Loitzker Rebbe himself on the phone. It's a very different chassidut. And these two Rebbes love each other, they're brothers. But there's no feud here. Some chassidim need this, and some chassidim need that, and there's no reason to make everybody fit in one box. And that's a very special thing. I don't think that everybody's able to handle it today. How can you be born into a sect when your parents made a choice that was good for them? But a child, how do you know the child belongs in the sect? How could it be? It's a new thing that people are born into a denomination, into a chassidut, into many stories of young yeshiva students going to search for their Rebbe. But what do you mean? You grew up in Viznitz. What are you going to go search for your Rebbe? Don't you have a Rebbe? No, that's my parents' Rebbe. I need to find my own Rebbe.